The Subaru Outback is one of those cars people either swear by or cautiously admire from a distance. And if you're thinking about buying one used, you're probably somewhere in the middle. It has a reputation for being a dependable adventure buddy, the kind of car that feels just as comfortable hauling camping gear up a muddy trail as it does taking you to work on a rainy Monday morning. But like any used vehicle that earned a loyal fanbase, the Outback comes with its own mix of strengths, quirks, and long-term considerations that are worth unpacking before you commit. So the question becomes, should you buy a used Subaru Outback? The answer depends on what you value, how much maintenance history matters to you, and how particular you are about choosing the right model year. What draws people to the Outback in the first place is its versatility. Subaru found a sweet spot between a traditional wagon and a small SUV, giving the Outback a slightly raised stance, generous cargo space, and Subaru's signature symmetrical all-wheel drive. That setup alone makes it a favorite for people who regularly deal with rain, snow, or bad roads, or who just want a car that doesn't complain when life gets a little messy. The ground clearance is better than what most crossovers offer, which means curbs, potholes, and uneven dirt roads aren't nearly as intimidating. And because the Outback still drives like a wagon rather than a bulky SUV, it maintains a settled, easygoing feel on the highway that makes long-distance trips surprisingly pleasant. Safety is another major selling point, especially if you're shopping anything from the mid-2010s onward. Subaru has built its brand on strong crash test performance, and many late-model Outbacks come with the EyeSight driver assistance system that bundles features like automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, and lane keep assist. Even the earlier models, without all the newer sensors, still earn solid crash ratings, which is part of why so many families gravitate toward the Outback. It's the kind of car that feels protective without feeling overbearing, and that alone is enough for many buyers to overlook minor drawbacks. Speaking of drawbacks, any honest conversation about used Outbacks needs to acknowledge Subaru's long-running mechanical quirks. Older examples, especially those from the early 2000s, were notorious for head gasket failures. This issue was widespread enough to become something of a joke among mechanics, but for owners, it was no laughing matter because head gasket repairs can cost a significant amount in labor. Subaru did improve the design over time, and the newer the model, the less likely you are to run into this specific problem. Still, if you're looking at an older Outback, make sure there's documentation showing that the head gaskets were either replaced or regularly inspected, and check the cooling system for any signs of leaks or overheating history. The CVT transmission, which Subaru uses across many of its modern models, is another point worth considering. While not inherently bad, CVTs tend to get a mixed reaction from buyers. Some appreciate the smoothness, while others notice shuddering, delayed responses, or whines that point to wear. Replacing a CVT is costly, so when shopping for a used Outback, it's wise to do an extended test drive that includes hills, highway merging, and stop-and-go traffic. A well-maintained CVT can last a long time, but a neglected one can turn ownership into an expensive headache. Subaru did refine the CVT over the years, so newer models generally behave better than the early versions. When it comes to picking the right model years, the sweet spot usually falls in the mid-2010s to early 2020s if your budget allows. Those years tend to offer the best balance between updated engineering, improved reliability, better tech, and more polished interiors. They also escaped most of the older engine issues without climbing into the highest price brackets of the near-new models. Earlier models can still be great buys, but they require more homework. The key with any Outback is service history. Well-documented maintenance is more important here than on many other vehicles because these cars respond best to consistent care. Pricing for used Outbacks varies widely, but generally speaking, mid-2010s models often fall in the mid-teens to low 20,000s depending on mileage and trim, while late 2010s and early 2020s examples push into the mid-$20,000 and above. Subaru's strong resale value keeps them from being bargain basement deals, but the flip side is that they hold their value because demand remains high. You're not buying a car that people try to unload cheaply. You're buying a car that people tend to keep unless they're upgrading. That's usually a good sign. If you do narrow your search to a particular Outback, treat a pre-purchase inspection as non-negotiable. A good mechanic can spot early signs of head gasket seepage, CVT wear, oil leaks, and issues with suspension bushings or wheel bearings. All things that commonly show up as these vehicles age. It's also worth taking a close look at the undercarriage for rust, especially in areas that see winter road salt. Outbacks are often used for outdoor activities, which means they might have been taken off pavement more often than the average family car. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but signs of abuse or poor repairs should raise a red flag. After all that, is the used Outback still worth it? For many buyers, absolutely. It's one of those rare vehicles that manages to be practical without being boring, rugged without being crude, and safe without feeling sterile. If you live somewhere with unpredictable weather, bad roads, or you simply want a car that can adapt to whatever lifestyle changes the next few years might bring, an Outback fits the bill. The key is avoiding the handful of troublesome years unless they've been meticulously maintained, and leaning toward models that benefited from Subaru's later improvements. At its core, the Subaru Outback remains a clever and capable wagon that fills a niche most automakers don't even try to compete in anymore. Buying one used can be a smart choice, especially if you choose carefully and prioritize maintenance records over low prices. If you pick the right one, you'll end up with a comfortable, long-lasting companion that handles everyday life and weekend adventures with equal enthusiasm. If you found the video useful, be sure to hit the like button to support us. Thank you.